this devastating wildfire 5 years ago, San Mateo and Santa Cruz. Terrible. And what we'll show in the next slide is utilizing fire behavior analysis that Jeff had done for us on a case study and showing how Fire Dome could have made a difference on a specific asset. So Jeff, please. Hoping you're here with us.
Yes, absolutely. So for everybody online, I've been throwing dirt at fires for 35 years. So I understand the challenges associated with fighting fire in a variety of areas. And it's been everywhere around the country that I've had the opportunity to go into communities just like yours to try to make a difference. And so what you're seeing here is a property that we're looking at to the north of you, not too far. But I took weather and fuels that currently exist, and this weather was from a red flag warning just 2 months ago in this area, and the fuels are completely cured. This is a grass and a brush model in a classic wildland urban intermix. And you can see the property outline there. And so running the fire under those red flag conditions, north wind, the fire obviously translated into the property and through it with without any cessation there. Now with the fire dome barrier, I put that fire dome barrier, and what I'm doing with that barrier is the same exact thing that I would do on an incident management team when I'm putting in barriers on my computer fire modeling to inform the strategy and tactics I talked about initially. We have in the fire service recommended coverage levels for aircraft that when they're dropping retardant, it's a objective standard of how many gallons per square foot that you need to call a barrier a coverage level between 1 and 6. That coverage level also varies based on the fuel type. And there were some questions that came through on canopies and how it would get through there. From a fire behavior standpoint, anytime you can take the fire from the aerial component and put it on the ground, even if you're just painting the canopy, that is a big win because that allows the fire suppression and the mitigation of hardening and landscape modifications to really take effect, and you have a good chance. When you're in a place that has a lot of a vertical component with what I call tall, pointy trees, that is harder to deal with because the fire stays above the ground. And so what I did here with this fire dome barrier, it is both a grass and a brush model. I put in at the narrowest width possible on the pixels that on my computer fire modeling. And I then ran the exact same model at that dome or at that barrier. The same exact model, you can see where it changed the trajectory of the fire. What you'll also see is on that lower left corner of that property, there was a spot fire that came off the primary path. The model that I was using takes the primary paths of travel and the secondary paths of travel, and that's what you're seeing in the red and the gold there. Fire, like anything else in nature, follows the path of least resistance. We say fire goes where air flows, and air flows where water goes, right? So it's a very much an intuitive thing. So the path of least resistance on that fire dome barrier run showed it down on that bottom left corner, but there are no barriers, especially during a red flag scenario, that are going to absolutely stop every fire. I would be skeptical if anybody told me, oh yeah, we've got this product that'll stop everything. But when you do have the spot fire that's showing there in that bottom left corner, that is where then the fire dome, after it is painted that perimeter, knowing where that fire was, it can take action on that spot fire as well. And then the fire, the point of the system would be for the fire to move around the value at risk that is being protected by that 90-acre coverage, and then that property would then be able to be more easily defended. So those are the things that went into this model, and I do understand, and I do believe that there are limitations to any retardant, just like the retardant coming out of the sky. But here's the thing: in a red flag condition, when you have limited resources and you have a fire that starts close, this one here between I put the ignition source fairly close to the fire, the reflex time to get aircraft in the air, to get the right number and the proper force to fight a wildfire, even if they can from the intensities, you may not have that time. So this was literally minutes before the fire started, and it hit that barrier. Everybody would love to know that they would, if there's a fire that starts close to their property or their value, that they would have a fleet of helicopters and fixed wing be able to paint a retardant along their property line. But that's not the case. This is what attracted me to this project, is that this allows you to fill that gap that's missing, to have your own retardant barrier that you can be responsible for, that isn't going to get pulled away from other missions. Because in the fire world, as Chief White said, it's about life first. And so if there's a life threat issue, aircraft will be diverted, and that this retardant may not be available for this property. But with the fire dome situation, this is a dedicated resource to this property, to this perimeter. And so that's what attracted me to this. And then I ran these models, and they showed promise. But it didn't surprise me, because retardant works as well. Retardant shows promise, and especially if you're putting them against what we call the 3 R's: the roads, rivers, and ridges. Those are the places that we have a tactical and strategic advantage. And so the fire dome system will know where the roads, rivers, and ridges are, and be able to reinforce those barriers that naturally exist along a property. Even if the sensor sees, and there was a lot of questions about what if there's smoke? What if there's it can't see over a hill? Really, the system will be agnostic. The fact that it knows that there's fire in the area, it knows from a lat long GPS position where that perimeter is. It will launch and put that barrier there regardless, based on the programming. So it doesn't need to know exactly where the fire is. It could know exactly where the fire is in general, and then put that barrier up in that area. Now, spot fires, that's going to be a little more of a targeted mission and approach, but that's the way that I'm seeing it as I'm assisting to help them develop something that is really actionable and practical.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so let's talk a bit about partnerships, which is the way that we can make this happen. So the ecosystem, as you know, is pretty vast. So we have fire departments, which we want to partner with, local fire departments, fire chiefs, to help us improve the tactical and strategic aspects of our system. The assets themselves, the communities, either utility, commercial assets, different communities, insurance companies, eventually, what we would love to do and we need to do is to partner with insurance companies and make sure that Fire Dome is integrated in some kind of way with insurance policies. I don't know exactly to say it now, because it's a longer term project that we're doing. It's not, it's not immediate. Also government long term. And obviously, to make this product broadly installed, we need distributors to do that in the long run. Now we're focusing mainly on the communities and the fire departments to have as true partners from a rather I won't say early stage, but like a middle of the road towards the MVP. We have 6 partners so far, 2 vineyards, one in Napa and one in Sonoma, Calligraphy and Del Valle. We have a partnership with the Las Virginias Water District, with the Travis County Fire Department, with Kettle. Kettle is an insurance company that writes policies based on AI. AI generates the policies according to data on potential climate catastrophe. They are dedicated only to climate, parametric insurance, and as Seth said in the beginning, the Santa Clara Fire Safe Council. And we're looking for more. We want to have dozens of partnerships, dozens of potential partners, again, to help us better design this product to fit the communities, to fit the different constraints, regulations, and the needs of the communities. Obviously, we've shown this to a lot of fire chiefs, over 400 chiefs in conferences, in one-on-ones, in group meetings. You can see here some of the people that we've talked to. I'm sure most of you know Kevin Sofan from the IFC, and they're enthusiastic about this. I mean, the people that we've talked to, the chiefs that we've spoken to, and yeah, and again, we're looking for more. We're looking for more people to help us shape that product. Wade, if you want to make any more comments on the
Yeah, House, please take your shoes off. I really appreciate it.
That's not Wade.
Yeah, having these partners, these chief officers working with us with Fire Dome is really it's gonna change the I want to get back to the thought and the getting away from the traditional form of firefighting, where you're bringing in new technology, and to be able to coordinate with fire departments is going to be key to the success of Fire Dome. We need the chiefs, we need the agencies to see that this is going to be a benefit in their offensive and defensive operations during major wildfires. And as the system grows, I think the technology that's going to spin off of this is going to be infinite. There's going to be change in tactics and strategy, command and control. Speaking from a chief officer, an incident commander, ops chief standpoint, from my many years, this is going to be a game changer, I think, in the years to come. I ask you to open your mind and really take this technology in and see, when you're watching TV, see how something like this, when you got a big fire such as down here in Southern California, burning, how do you think this is going to change the tactics and the strategy and the impact it's going to have on the community? And that's how I look at it, and that's what we're looking for from these experienced individuals from different agencies, and I ask you to do the same.
And thank you, Wade. And this is Seth. I might add, as you all know, obviously, I'm the local boots on the ground, so to speak, and represent Fire Dome in the Fire Safe Councils. And certainly, to the extent that there are opportunities to engage with anyone on the audience here, I can work with Gotti, but I certainly want to make myself available to help select sites that the Fire Dome thinks will provide the best test bed capabilities to round out the product set.
Definitely, and thank you guys. And 2 more points regarding the feedback that we got from fire chiefs. So one is, and I think there's a question in the chat there about a mobile system. I mean, that's our plan for the next generation of system. That's the vision, because if we can equip fire departments with a local version of with a mobile version, sorry, of this product, imagine how we can extend the range of the immediate response to small fires and keep them smaller, not have them spread out throughout the forest or the wildland. The second thing is prescribed fires, prescribed burns, which are common and are getting more and more common. Sometimes they get out of hand. They might get out of hand. They might disperse ember showers. They might create spotting. And we can protect the firefighters that do that by having fire domes look out for these spots and extinguish them in seconds. So these are, probably a lot more ideas from this very experienced crowd that room that we're in. But, we have to, as Wade said, think a bit outside the box.
If I may just add one more point, because I think it aligns with what Gotti just mentioned. Here at the Santa Clara County Fire Safe Council, one of the things we're building is a portfolio of products that we can, through APIs, create. So one of the visions is the Fire Safe Council, Santa Clara Fire Safe Council, is in the process of creating a prescribed burn association for Santa Clara County. I would see us as an example of being able to use Fire Dome. We are already a reseller for the N5 wildfire smoke detection sensors. Ultimately, I'd love to be able to take and test on a prescribed fire, bring a number of those N5 sensors, right? And so that if there is, a 48-hour or 72-hour afterwards where there could be a refire or, kind of a flare-up, right? In my vision, I'd love to be able to have an N5 sensor detect that and then automatically communicate with, the system that Fire Dome has, and automatically day or night be able to put out that fire if it reflares. So that's one example where we can see some interlocking capabilities with various technologies to get them to collaborate together. Gaddy, over to you.
And I think, Seth, you're spot on. Fire Dome can't do this alone. Sensor or detection companies can't do this alone. We need to have integration of solutions. That's the future. Obviously, firefighters are at the spearhead of that, but we have to complement them. We have to assist them with different solutions, different technologies. And I think that's the only way that we can, fight these fires and win these battles. Let's talk a bit about the future. So this year, the first half of the year, we're working very, very hard on building the system here in Israel, in our small and modest plant. And then we want to experiment with the system a bit here in Israel. We don't have a lot of fires here. We have like 2 or 3 main areas that suffered from fires, bad fires in the past, up north and Jerusalem area. And we're probably going to use one of them as a test site, obviously with the local authorities. But we really want to move fast into the US, and our goal is to have the system, the first prototype of the system, tested in the US in this year, 2025, end of 2025. So we're working very, very hard to meet that milestone. Afterwards, we're planning to deploy in 2026 between around 3 to 5 systems in different locations in California. We are looking at other states also, but I think for us, California, we have the partners here, we have the communities here that are, that want to work with us, and I think that will be the first go. I'm planning to move to the US and to California in about a year to build up the operations of the company in the US. The production will be in the US, and all of the efforts out, like the R&D will stay here in Israel, but all of the rest of the company will be a US company. And on the business side, we now have the design partnership program that I'm going to talk about in a second, and Seth already mentioned. Around mid-2025, we want to open our waiting list for the first system, so people can list for the first system that we'll install and deploy. We do want to cover all the regulatory and permits that we need during 2025, so we can deploy the first systems without any worries on that angle, and expand from there during 2026. We talked about the vision a bit, but now, as I presented, we have the stationary units. These are units that are dedicated to protecting communities, to protect assets, to help firefighters gain precious time to contain the wildfires that are raging outside. But as we move forward, I think that mobile units is key to better help firefighters with spotting during prescribed fires that we mentioned, with increasing the range of reaction that we can provide to the firefighters with these launchers, and the ability to get to places where are very hard, limited access, were very hard to get to now with the traditional fire trucks. And I think the holy grail for us, and I talked about it in the beginning, is to combine these systems, the stationary units and the mobile units, kind of like in the battlefield. In the battlefield, we have aerial support, we have infantry, we have artillery, we have intelligence. We have to combine these different aspects into one effort of attack and defense and intelligence, and we can do that with wildfires. We have to do that with wildfires. So we can use these mobile units and stationary units in the forest, do early detection, not by Firedome, by other companies like N5, or a lot of companies are working on that, and together prevent these fires from even spreading, destroying forests, emitting CO2, and threatening communities. So this is the vision that we have. And last two slides. So we're live. I mean, we had a lot of PR in the US, here in Israel. We have a lot of social media activity, because we do want to find the right connections and the right partners, and we do it in various channels. I'm guessing you guys have heard of the Red Sky Summit, that it was the second time in SF 2 months ago, the FireTech Summit, in other words. And the second conference that Adi, you can see her here presenting Firedome, was at the IFC at Oklahoma last month, in front of 400 chiefs. So we really want to find the right partners, and that takes me to the last slide is about the program that is open now, and we're inviting you to join, become partners, be part of designing this product, understanding the technology from early stage, and having a lot of influence on how it will be shaped, how it will be designed, what will it do eventually, what functionality. Maybe, I'm sure there are a lot of more ideas that we can, that you guys have, that we can utilize to improve the system, to improve. I'm a big believer in talking and understanding. You guys are there. You guys are dealing with these fires, and would love to get your input. And eventually pilot sites, which is the next step. So yeah, I'd love for, if you have any questions, let's talk. And afterwards, you can reach us via our website. I have the email, my email on the first slide, and we'll obviously publish that deck. And thank you. So any questions?
Oh yeah, we have lots of questions in the chat. I think Casey and I can methodically go through them. I was kind of tracking them. There is a question, I think you kind of covered this, but we'll just start here. Why is this system better than roof sprinklers?
Then what?
Roof sprinklers? Fire sprinklers on the roof?
Like external sprinklers?
Yes, external sprinklers.
Okay. So I don't like to say why are we better or worse than other solutions. I think, as I said, we need integration, but we have a few advantages over this system. These systems work mainly on water, which can evaporate very quickly, like within hours. Second thing is they utilize local water, either the water supply in the neighborhood, or if they have a swimming pool or something, use the swimming pool. We don't need that. We have our own water. We bring our own water supply, so we're not dependent on anything else. And I think the third thing is that these systems can protect the house. We can protect several houses, a small neighborhood or a group of houses. But again, some of these solutions are complementary. And I wish that everyone will be successful, because we need a toolbox. We don't need just one tool.
Right. Yeah, I think we all agree on that. Okay, the next question in the chat. What are the camera detectors scanning for? Is it heat, CO2, smoke?
So we're planning to teach the algorithm, the computer vision algorithm, to detect both the fire that's starting, like the thermal signature of the fire, and the smoke. And there are a lot of cameras that do that. So maybe for the first version, we'll use an off-the-shelf camera, an off-the-shelf algorithm, but we're now bringing into the team a very strong algorithm engineer because we do want to develop that ourselves. So yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah, there are definitely, and California has a lot. And Zeth can help you with that, of cameras that
Definitely.
technology is quite amazing. And they're amazing. And okay, let's see in the chat. I think we talked about the irregularity in mountain areas.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is it possible to extend the range of the prevention beyond the property to contain it? So I think your answer was yes, you can do multiple houses with one system.
Yeah. And our future plans are to increase the range of a single launcher from a quarter mile to about a mile. So this is again future development, but we envision longer, higher, longer ranges. Sorry. So
Okay,
we can.
you just said right now you're at a quarter mile.
Yeah.
And the plan is to
Extend.
design up to a mile.
Yeah.
I just want to put that in context for everybody on the call. A single ember, even without wind, can travel probably up to 2 miles. And I know Dawn and I have experienced that in the Woodside Fire District. So especially eucalyptus with that sail-shaped leaf design, up to 2 miles. So that's great that you're designing up to a mile. You could probably even do further.
But again, Denise, for the first product, we can deploy, several systems to cover more acreage. It's going to be a challenge to go from quarter mile to 1 mile, but we're up to it. We have the best engineers, we have the best advisors and consultants, so I'm sure that we can do that. But we want to start with something that would be quicker to deploy, which is the quarter mile version, and then later on we'll evolve and improve.
Right. Well, quarter mile is far. You could have the wildfire or a significantly larger fire a quarter mile away, but it's going to be producing embers,
Yes.
and so that's where a system like this stops it.
Exactly. So we can detect the embers and react.
We answered Aaron's question. Will there be any video testing footage available? Live video test versus animation, so you'll be doing that.
So I showed you the short clip of the demonstration we did up north, the first demo, the initial demo. And as the launcher will be built, we will publish more and more footage to show the progress and to the testing in Israel around June. So we'll obviously have you're welcomed in Israel. I'm not sure what the situation here will be like in June. If it's quiet, I welcome you guys to come here and see it in your own eyes. But again, we want to be in the US pretty quickly, like by the end of this year. So if you can make it to Israel, we'll come to you with the system and demonstrate it.
Okay. We have a member has a question. Dudley from Portola Valley Ranch. It's a planned community, and so there's quite a few houses in the community. And so her question is, can this be applied to a community with several square miles that consists of several square miles?
Yes, but we will need to see how it is designed, how the neighborhood is designed, and then we can ideally place it will be more than one system, obviously, because it's a few square miles, and we have to see how many systems do we need to cover at least the more wildfire prone areas or areas that, according to a simulation that we can do, will be the first one to be hit. And that's where we create the barrier. So we might need a small barrier, and two systems will be enough, but we might need a barrier that is fully around the neighborhood, and then we'll need more. So, I'd love to have a chat later and see if we can analyze this
Yeah.
together.
Portola Valley Ranch would be a good test system because it is very residential, sits very near critical infrastructure, and it's really close to the border of Santa Clara County. So it'd be something that Zets maybe would be interested in. So that would be, if Portola Valley Ranch is interested, it would be good to have you come out there next time you're in California.
We
Sure.
could certainly take that offline, but the answer is yes, we'd be more than glad to have that discussion.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, here's an interesting question. You talk about in the presentation the CO2 that's emitted during wildfires. Do you have any calculations of the CO2 cost for the construction and the maintenance of the systems?
Not yet, but again, my experience in the startup world started, sorry, with carbon mitigation. So this issue is very close to my heart. I dealt in my previous company with methane mitigations, which methane, is emitted by cows and landfills, and it's a huge problem. So we're very sensitive to CO2 emissions, and once we have the whole supply chain and production lines up and running, I'm guessing it will be more than a year from now in the US. We will definitely do that calculations. Even our investors are asking us to do these calculations in the future. So it will definitely happen. It's very important for us to see that we're not contributing more than we can prevent.
All right, that's a good technical question. I like that.
Yeah.
Here's another interesting question. Have you presented this to the Ohlone tribal leadership? So the Ohlones were the native tribes that were here in San Mateo County and Santa Clara County.
So the
So-
answer is no.
Yeah.
You're the first people that we're presenting it to here.
Okay,
Leone.
all right. Well, maybe we can present this slide deck to them to see if what their intake and input is.
Great.
Okay, we talked about mounting this on a mobile system.
Yeah.
That would be very interesting. That would be
Agreed.
interesting for fire departments, I would think.
Definitely.
Let's see here. I'm just going to the chat. Casey, you can help me out here. And I want to make sure everybody picked up on my comment in the chat. And I know Sarah and Rich are on the call, so they can add to this. But I know wildfires that we've had in the past here in San Mateo County that are not crown fires, but vegetation fires, on the floor of the forest, but in redwood tree, in redwood forest, that the fire retardant that was dropped never made it, or not very much of it made it to the floor, the forest floor, because the redwood trees were so thick, and so he lost a lot of that fire prevention, extinguishment, capabilities. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to throw that out there to people who haven't maybe seen that or experienced that. But
Denise, there's a difference because we open these capsules fairly close to the ground.
yes, that's what
We can
right.
cover that gap.
Yeah, you're totally different than I was talking about airplane
Yeah.
release of totally different. So you need something deployed lower to the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And another thing, just to add to that, because one of the things that Fire Dome is in the process of doing, right, is they want to be retardant manufacturer agnostic, right? They want to work with as many retardant manufacturers as possible, but also if we know the geography, they'll be able to adjust things like the viscosity and the ability, right, so that something that might have previously stuck to a canopy, right, may be able to make its way through the canopy. So that's one of the things we're also looking for in test site partners, right, to be able to develop that and figure out how the formulations of retardant might change depending upon the topography and vegetation types, et cetera.
Exactly.
Okay, this talks about your partnership. The question is, might insurance companies come to require a system such as this?
I mean, it's so far into the future that I can't, I don't have an answer on that.
Yeah.
We have to talk with them. We have done some talks, but very initial. I think eventually we'll have to come, we will all have to come up, you know, us and the insurance companies with a model that will be, and communities obviously, that will be satisfying for all of the different players. Again, it could be different types of models, and it's too soon for us to know.
Yeah, I think I could envision them requiring this on larger properties, resorts, things like that. I also envision this, you know, at school campuses, you know, that are usually more flat, maybe PG&E, infrastructure like substations and things like that.
Water plants, water treatment plants, for example, yeah.
Okay. This is from Justin. How many capsules can be deployed during an incident? Do they have to be manually reloaded?
No, they're fully autonomous. They're reloaded autonomously, automatically. No humans are there. No need.
And you,
How
uh,
many? It depends. It depends. We can do, again, we can launch a capsule every 3 to 5 seconds. So, and we'll have a stockpile of around 2,000 to 4,000 capsules, depending on the size of the property and the periphery, like the parameter around the property. So yeah, it
Okay.
depends on the time. We can shoot for hours, for days, for weeks.
Okay, this is from a local assisted living facility, retirement community in the WUI. Will it be safe for people to be under the deployment of the retardant / water capsules? Is
Yeah.
this system appropriate for a retirement community?
I'll tell you more than that. We want to use these systems also in agriculture and cattle ranches. We don't want to poison the cows or destroy the land. We're going to use environmentally friendly. Some materials that we're testing are even edible, so you can enjoy a lunch when the. But it's not going to be harmful. It's not
But
going to be harmful.
Gadia, these are airburst munitions, if you will, or do they impact the ground and burst open?
They open up above the ground, not when they hit the ground. They open
Okay,
up. So you have a shower, like if you're standing right below the capsule, which is like the probability for that is like very, very, very small. Then you will get a shower. But yeah, it's not harmful at all.
Yeah, I think to expand on that, when you're talking firefighters working out there on the line, there's going to be coordination. We do the same when we have airdrops. So it'd be up to the ops chief, incident commander, to make sure the coordination is there, so that we don't have people underneath those charges when they discharge.
And the Jeff Shelton here, one of the advantages of this system will be that when a fixed wing that's applying retardant, you know, you're looking at, you know, between 8 and 9 pounds per gallon for just water. And then that water is being dropped in hundreds of gallon loads moving at over 100 miles an hour. And so those things have a physics effect that you can only imagine. When you're launching these in a trajectory that are dispersing at a calculated altitude, that part of the equation is tempered quite a bit, and so that targeted piece and that safety piece, I think there is actually an advantage.
Okay, the next question is from Joy. Can multiple detection cameras feed into one launcher?
Yeah, that's the whole point. I'm guessing that for most properties, we'll have to use more than one camera, and then we'll send the data, the feed of the camera to the computer. It will do the analysis, integrate the data, and then create the optimal ballistic trajectory to launch the capsules to where we want them to deploy. So definitely yes.
Okay, the next question is about wind. I know you talked about that there's an integrated weather system there, monitoring system. but the question is, how do the high winds, like what we're seeing in Palisades? So they're saying 75 to 90 mile an hour winds.
Yeah.
Is that going to change the, the course of the capsules?
If we know, and we will know the direction and speed of the wind, we can adjust, again, we can adjust the ballistic trajectory to take that into consideration. So I think this is one of our advantages, that we can win the wind. We can adjust ourselves with the wind. Sometimes the wind will act in our favor. Sometimes it might, cause us to change like the direction of the launcher, but we can handle this.
Yeah, I think one of the advantages we have, especially with Gotti, his background in the military is, that's something that they look at when they're firing weapons.
Yeah.
So very similar to mortars, and I think that experience is going to pay off in developing this product.
Well, it also seems, you said that the system can reload itself within a few seconds. So if it only potentially extinguishes a portion of the small fire, then it will reload and it will, I'm assuming,
Exactly.
continue until it's extinguished.
It's extinguished. Yeah, that's exactly the purpose.
Yeah, and other than the spot fires, the perimeter that is going to be mapped out, this digital fence that's going to be programmed in there, will already be known. And so the variables will just be the weather. And so once that fire is detected or the command is given, that pre-identified fire line is going to be painted. And that's an advantage. And then from that point, it's just the spot fires that would need to be mitigated, and then that would be more of a saturation on target. Whereas if one would work, maybe 3 to 5 would be best to ensure it.
Precisely.
And when you talked about, you want to extinguish and deploy when the fire is extremely small in its infancy. And how small are you talking about in terms of detection capabilities?
So we're aiming for around meter, 2 meter by meter, 2 meter, like trying to like 3 to 6 feet by 3 to 6 feet.
Yeah.
That's as early as we can, and we have the advantage because we don't have the range. The range is not that high. So yeah, but again, so many different types of cameras. We're now doing a survey trying to see which one is optimal for this specific function, and I'm sure that we'll find a couple of very good options that we'll have to choose. Okay.
Continuing on the chat, this is from Ed. After looking at the presentation, he evaluates that this should be a supplemental, that it would be either an alternative or supplemental to other fire agency aerial retardant delivery methods, planes and helicopters for high value properties. Accuracy, immediacy, reliability, collateral damage, danger, support should be quantified for comparison. I'm not sure I understand his whole question, but yeah, I think we talked about in the beginning that this is another tool, a sophisticated tool to go into the arsenal. Usually fixed wing and helicopters are for when the fire is much larger, not 3 foot or 6 foot, but obviously much larger. So it's a different sort of tool.
Yeah, it is a systems approach. And when I've talked to Gotti and the team, that when these go in, there will also be a consultation phase about what are the other things that can be done on the property that the fire safe councils, this is your lane, about home structure hardening, the zones against the structures. These will all complement each other to the point that the goal would be to have a property be standalone, correct? And so this is a systems approach for sure, but coordinating with cooperators, especially in the public safety space, is going to be key for safety, but also for adoption to get to build that confidence that we're going to have to earn.
Right, a systems approach, but doesn't need residents to stay behind and try to defend their house. They can evacuate. Their system is already in place and can deploy while they're safely evacuated.
And of course, there will be an app that they can see the, how the system works from afar, and yeah.
Okay, this question is from Art. How many capsules to spread retardant over 2,000 feet boundary? So I guess if that was a straight line boundary, potentially?
Yeah, so I need to do the math, but every capsule will disperse in an elliptical shape of about 4 by 8 feet.
Call me.
No, it's 4 by 8
Better
meters,
be.
sorry. So 12 by 20. Help me, someone with the conversion. 12 by 24 feet plus minus.
Somebody with the math.
So yeah, so 4 by 8 is 32 square feet per capsule, but that's but we got to do the gallons per square foot. It depends on the fuel type. If the thicker the fuel, the more coverage and more capsules you'll need.
This is for number 4, the numbers I talked about, but yeah, it could be different. Let's look at the property. Let's do the analysis. I need to do the math in my head, and it's not I need a few minutes to do that.
Yeah, well, and the system would, I mean, the 2,000 foot boundary isn't preventive. I mean, the system would, if there's different ignitions on this 2,000 foot boundary, the system would keep launching as, yeah, okay.
We have the two layers of protection. One is the 2,000 feet fire break or barrier, and the second thing is, as you said, Denise, reacting to more spot fires that can start there. So again, the combination, I think it's something that is unique and can provide a robust protection of the property.
Okay. All right. Let's see. This is from Aaron. Have you spoken with NFPA or FM Global Research groups?
NFPA, I know. The second entity, I'm not sure. But NFPA, we're working again. We have JDA, the consulting company in the US that helps us with all the regulatory aspects. So we first wanted to start with FAA and the fire departments, and then we're planning to move on to the NFPA very soon and try to talk with people there. And we have a lot of exploration to do on the different standards that we need to adhere. But yeah, it's definitely on the plan. That's, if you remember, just a sec.
And if I can add while you get to that, so I've had some outreach with Michelle Steinberg, and one of the things I'd like to do is, the NFPA Foundation has a number of test grants. And so there may be an opportunity to work with Leslie Marshall and her team at the NFPA Foundation to get this tested as part of our collaboration efforts too as well.
And by the way, Seth, it turns out that NFPA has a branch here in Israel. So we're going to talk with them also, because they have access to all the data. They can connect us to the specific individuals in the US that could help us.
Okay. There's some comments here about wanting to get feedback from the vineyards in Napa Valley, if that's possible, from your partners.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I think a lot of these questions have already, I mean, there's just a few more, but I think they've all been answered in your presentation. A lot of them are about the wind and again, you're saying that your system can sense the weather and adjust accordingly real time and multiple deployments. So if it doesn't get it the first time, or if there's multiple embers, multiple ignitions, it just keeps going. So I think that covers it. I just have one last question, and then we should probably wrap it up because it's 11 o'clock. You did mention permits and regulation compliance. So what did you foresee that system owners would need for permits, and what kind of compliance would they need to deal with?
So I think the most important thing, and Wade talked about it a bit before, is the the coordination. It's kind of a regulation because it's a coordination between the systems and the local fire chiefs and the FAA to make sure that by accident one of our projectiles doesn't hit an helicopter or an airplane that is flying around there. I think that's the most important thing that we're covering. We're working on that now. The second thing I mean, as I understand from the talks I've had with asset owners and landowners in California, they have to, everything they want to install on their property, if it's a generator, if it's a water pump, any type of equipment, they have to get a permit from the local county. So I think this will be also necessary. But again, it's not a lengthy process, as I understand. It's a few months. So I don't think there are regulatory barriers that are significant. But again, as Seth mentioned, we now want to, in 2025, we want to complete all of the different analysis and examinations and understand all the regulatory aspects to make sure that when we want to deploy the first system in the US, we won't get stuck on some very small regulation that we're not adhering. So this is essential to do now during the R&D so we can adjust the system with the regulations.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate the due
It's a work in
diligence.
progress, and we know it's an issue, and we have the best people that can help us figure that out.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you doing your due diligence. And I want to thank you very much and the whole Fire Dome team for presenting and providing us with your new technology. I think it's amazing, and I can see lots of different places where it would be useful. As we know, and I think people have to be reminded, there's not enough fire trucks and fire crews to really support every single house in a neighborhood during these kinds of fires. So it has to be new technology.
Yeah, you guys might want to get in touch with the Fire Safe Council up in the Napa Valley. This could be a really good tool for some of those properties up there. And, I know they have them, so that would be another good Fire Safe Council to work with and get the message out there.
I met Joe when I was up there. Joe Nordlinger, he's the head of the Fire Safe Council. I met him and we're working together. And one of the vineyards I mentioned is there. And yeah, we're trying to get more. But definitely
And Don, just to your question, so this is Seth. I'm on the board of the statewide Fire Council organization, and they have rolled out or are starting to roll out a program for fire technology. At the state level, and ultimately, when the product is ready, we'll be bringing it into all the fire safe councils. Ultimately, we're opening it up to be put into that program so that all the other fire safe councils statewide, the 250 plus or minus fire safe councils could avail of the technology.
Good.
All right. All right. Well, with that, again, many thanks to the Fire Dome team and to you, Seth, for bringing them to us. Please, Seth, keep us updated on what's going on with Fire Dome and when they come to California and those potential test sites. I think we would love to participate in that.
there, definitely. Denise, thank you very much for the opportunity. Seth, thank you. And everyone, thank you for joining.
You're welcome. And Gotti, I think you have a QR code.
Thank you.
So ultimately, there's a QR code that you can scan, and Gotti will be collecting information. So if people on this call today have an interest in being a test site, you can reach out through that QR code.
Or email. We also have the email in the first slide. Feel free to reach out. LinkedIn, whatever's comfortable for you.
Yeah, I'll save it. I'll send out and put it on our website, your email and the website again. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Really appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.